Welcome back to another episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love. I'm your host, Boston, and joining me as always is Musum.
Hello.
And we're here to talk about December's stuff. Don't forget to go sign up to be a patron over at patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers. Get all the cool behind-the-scenes early access, great stuff over there for just $5 a month. Not per episode, not per week, just per month. So it's very economically friendly. We're going to do something a little bit different this episode than we normally have. We've been talking about doing this for a couple of years, and then we just never have. So this year we're going to talk about our normal what you've been playing here in the first half, and take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about sort of our top 5 RPGs we played this year. Most specifically, is not the top 5 RPGs of 2021, because that would be a lot of RPGs. So it's going to be, some of them might be old, some of them might be new. Who knows? But we're going to kind of do a little bit recap of 2021 and the stuff we played and stuff we really liked. So we're going to do that here in the second half, but we're going to start off, Musum, what you've been playing this past month.
So I've really mainly been playing, I've spent probably an equal time on most of these. I'm looking at this list. So I'll just start out with dungeon encounters.
Yeah.
You sold me on it pretty hard after last podcast.
Nice.
And I got it. And then, that's not a game you can play before bed, because you just won't go to bed. Is
one more fight. Just a couple more tiles.
That's what I discovered. And the other thing I discovered is some of the fights I'm really bad about paying attention to what's on them. So, like, I think it's called a black hole, enemy.
Yep.
I keep accidentally fighting it and getting party wiped. So I've now mastered the art of send one of my less leveled guys to go.
Yeah, do like a recovery squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I've started like this game actually fills kind of an old school Bard's Tale itch for me. Like, it's kind of the same. Like, it's a different presentation, a different UI, but it's the same mechanic of, I'm going to take these, whatever the party is, four or five guys.
4 peeps, yeah.
It's been a few weeks since I played it. And see how long I can survive. And then, and so I started using Bard's Tale tactics, where I would, let's just say the party's 4, because I don't remember.
It is, yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So I would take 3 of my high-level guys, I'd leave one of them behind, and then put a low-level guy in. So
sure. Right.
I'm constantly having a B squad that they'll never be as high as the A squad, but at least they'll be up there.
Yeah, if you get party wiped, it's not like, all right, these level 2 people are going down on a floor 85. It's like, I don't think this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it'll help curb some of that, and it also, for me, encourages me to experiment in terms of, do I think I can survive this? Do I think I can push this a little bit farther?
Right.
So,
and that's one of the things I like about dungeon encounters is, except for like maybe 2 or 3 party members, the rest of them are really blank slates. It's not like, oh, this person is going to be, they have super high speed, so they're going to be a great thief, or this person has a high magic stat. Like, all that stuff is going to be dictated by the equipment you put on them, as opposed to, here's the mage, here's the warrior, here's the white mage. So, like, you can really do that, where it's like, all right, my 4th party member is always going to be this person with a gun and a spell that hits everybody. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah. It's, as much as I love how straightforward the combat is, like, I'm still super excited every time, like, I get close to finding a new character, or, oh, here's another petrified stone guy. Where's my nearest stone curing place? I should have taken better notes.
I don't remember what those are called, but I had the same thing too, because I like the idea of you having to find these party members in the dungeon, because they're wandering around the dungeon too. And I like the idea of, I like the whole story is like, there's a dungeon, there's an academy, yeah, go crazy. And I like that, like, all these other party members, they're looking for something in the dungeon too, and if you want to bring him in your party, you got to go find him.
Yeah, I love this game. Like it's super simple. It's the only reason I'm not playing it right now is because another game came out that kind of interrupted that. But like I got to like I think I'm level 30-ish, and if I would stop accidentally fighting the black hole, I would be farther along.
Right.
It's those double letter ones that I just don't always look up when I should.
Yeah, it took me a really long time to like, because most of the time when you're wandering through, you're level 30, so you're probably fighting like 20 and 30 level tiles, and it's like, oh yeah, this floor will be fine. All 4 of my party members are doing great. I'm fighting like a cloud and a fish and some seaweed. It's fine.
Yeah,
no big deal. And then like that one time you don't look, it's like, yeah, here's a black hole that has literally 100,000 health and like 150 speed and can do direct HP damage. It's like, well, it was nice knowing you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, it's a really cool game. I think it's worth every penny of the $30 I spent on it, and I can't like, I don't like. There's something about grinding in RPGs that I enjoy. Like, there's a zen to it. Like,
yes,
especially like if it's not quite mindless, like this, where it's you have weapons that do specific magic or HP damage, and you're constantly looking at your enemy's defenses and which enemy has a an attack everyone attack that you should probably target first, or different things like that. And it's cool to experiment with different weapon builds too. Like, one of the things I enjoyed that stacks is one of my characters I equipped with a weapon that does magic damage to everyone, and I think I equipped him with a HP weapon that does the same. But then I found a ring that adds like 200 damage to both his HP and MP attack, which stacked with his attack all things. So now instead of just like, those attack alls do less damage than their single damage counterparts. So that helped push it up enough that I could still keep those attack all weapons worth it in the party combat. Like, I guess for the listeners, like, a lot of the back and forth you do is you want to do an attack all, but at some point their HP or MP are going to get so great that you're going to be like, well, this really isn't worth it compared to this weapon that does 900 damage isn't worth it compared to this weapon that could potentially do 3,000 damage, for instance, It's a cool give or take relationship that it has. And like, I hope they make another one, and I hope they add like, I hope they get a bigger budget, honestly, but also I hope they don't kind of lose their inherent gameplay.
I'm really happy you're enjoying it. That makes me really happy, because it's almost a hard game to talk about, because if you look at a gameplay video of it, that's it. Like, it is 100 floors of that. It is filling out tiles in a map, and it is a bunch of icons that have a bunch of bars on them for battle. Like, that's really it. But I think you nailed it on the head there by saying, like, if you like JRPGs, and if part of your enjoyment is grinding, this game is really good, because it separates all that chaff from the wheat, and it just, here is a battle. There's no big flashy Knights of the Round animation. There's no like swirling, like whoosh, here's the loading screen. You just get into a battle, you fight a bunch of stuff, you get out. Like, it really is, the battles are engaging, and they can be pretty challenging, but the game kind of gets out of your way, and it lets you just enjoy the gameplay. And I'm totally with you. Like, I really hope they make another one. If they don't get a bigger budget for it, that's fine. Like, you can even release a piece of DLC that's like, it's $15, here's 100 more floors. I was like, yep, great. Super.
Oh, nice.
Let's keep going. Like, that would be okay with me, where it's like, all right, now the dungeon's 200 floors. It's like, yep, super. Let's keep doing this. Because I think it's something really special that if you're listening to this show, you would probably enjoy it. But if you look at it and you think like, oh man, I don't enjoy RPGs, I don't enjoy this type of RPG, it's really not gonna turn you into a convert. But if you have like the brain worms for this specific thing, it's a real good game.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. Like if you
Yeah.
like dungeon crawling, like you know the graphics look better than they do in the preview, I will say, but it is
Yeah.
like a very basic presentation. But like
Yep.
I think all the character portraits are really cool. I really
It's a
like
cool
that
style.
whoever your first character in the party has like a 3D representation on the map that looks pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, those are actually pretty well done. Like I was pretty surprised about having like a full 3D model. It sounds like we're
Yeah,
talking about like an early PS1 game,
I know.
which maybe this sort of is, but it's like, oh, they have like a 3D model. It looks cool. Like it
I
does
mean,
though.
the presentation for this game is so basic, like it's
Hmm.
surprising that they took the time to model all of their characters. Like all I
Yeah.
want to do is find the dog with the dagger in his mouth so he can be my leader from
Oh,
here on
he's
out.
great. Yeah. Yeah, it's such
Uh,
a cool thing, and I really, really, I know, of course, Square Enix is listening to the show. Hi, Square.
yeah.
Um, I really wish they had a demo that was maybe like the first 10 floors of the dungeon, or maybe 11, where it's like, all right, here's the 10th floor is done, here's what the next area looks like. Because I think for a lot of people, if you could just play an hour or two or three, I think a lot of people would really enjoy it once they can actually get their hands on it. Because the $30 price on the surface, especially if you just look at a gameplay, that's too much money for this game. But once you start playing, it's like, wow, this game is super long. This $30 seems like it's actually fairly cheap.
Yeah, I was playing it nonstop for
Yeah.
probably a week or so before I moved on to the other game that came out. And
Are you playing this on
um,
Switch?
yes,
How's it run on there? Is it running? Is it running nicely?
yeah, it runs
Nice,
perfectly.
nice. That'd be a
Yeah,
great platform for it.
I agree with you too on the music. When you were describing the music, I thought it can't be that bad. And like it is like at first, like some of the wandering music I was almost all right with, but the battle music is insufferable. It's
It,
like
it's it's ex- it is like it is exceptionally terrible. Like I feel like it's the music that people think are in indie games. And it's like, no, like indie games have great music. Almost every game has great music, just not dungeon encounters.
yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah,
They
I don't. It's baffling how it happened. I don't know how that happened.
yeah, they need to rethink that. But
Yeah,
it doesn't matter because most of the time I have a movie on and I am playing the game on my Switch, and that is
exactly.
really what I want to be experiencing anyway. Like
Yep.
that's half of my love for RPGs is when I get to the grinding part, I can watch a movie or a TV show while I do it. And
Right. I'm gonna catch up on Top Chef. Here we go.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
But anywho, so moving on, I guess I'll go to the game that made me stop playing it for at least the time being, which is Shin Megami Tensei 5. Um,
I have not put as much time into this as I really wanted to, but I am really enjoying what I've been playing.
it's I'm super impressed by it.
Hmm.
I go back and forth on how much time I want to spend on it, just because I keep getting like I'm not super far. Like I'm on the second boss basically.
Okay. I haven't even faced the first boss yet.
Yeah, the first boss I got through with like I think it was 5 times it took me.
That's not bad.
Um, the first time I fought him fairly prematurely. I just wanted to see what his elements were and got wiped. And then I thought, okay, so I'll go and I'll grind out some demons that'll have some resistances or
Yeah.
ability to cast. And then I got wiped again. And then I started doing side quests. And I think the side quests are probably the biggest difference between this one and in previous games. Maybe 4 had side quests, and I just hadn't spent that much time in 4.
It
But
did have some side quests, but I feel like they weren't really as involved as they are here, because I feel like a lot of the side quests were like, hey, go to this place and pick up this chest, or like get this 5 of these drops from this enemy. Like, it wasn't really ever as exciting as they are here.
They put a lot of effort into them. Like, the most memorable one is I found a Sparris with a bunch of other demons worshiping her.
Yeah, and I just ran up across that. Yep.
So you get is this a spoiler? Let's just say there is a additional option you can take to complete that quest.
Oh, interesting.
And I took the additional option, which at first I thought bad about, but then I was like, maybe not. Like I have some, I could take some moral issues with Asparus.
Sure.
And it kind of changes your reward result, which I don't regret, honestly. The path I took got me something that eventually leveled into getting me media, whatever, the healing everyone spell.
Nice.
So, and that's so far that's the only quest I've run in that has done specifically that. But most of the quests I say most, like maybe half the quests, like seem to have an interesting aspect to them. Like one of them, I ran into an Oni demon who really wants to work under some lesser demons, and I don't know, he had some like move up the chain plot that he had.
Right.
And you kind of go around and talk to him, and then go back to, like, there's some cool back and forth kind of side story dialogue that's insignificant but entertaining to it.
Right.
So I think mechanically in this game, like they've changed a couple of Shin Megami Tensei staples, which is physical skills now use MP instead of HP.
Still tripping me up. Like I think it's a cool change because it feels like most of the enemies hit a little bit harder. I'm only playing on normal. But if I had to use HP for my physical skills like normal, I think I would be in a pretty bad spot.
Yeah. They really built the game to that. And I think...
Because there's no like traditional attack option where just like, I'm going to hit them with my weapon.
Well, they do have straight attack, but everything is grouped under skill, right? Like,
yeah, because there's no like attack and then magic and then escape. Like it's all just, you want to skill, talk, run away, use items. Yeah. Like there's no like traditional hit X to just attack everything option.
Yeah, it's it does change it. You know, I'm using those skills probably a little more, but it also is you know, it eats up your MP more, so you're thinking about it. They also have a lot of physical skills that have various conditions to get you a higher chance to crit.
Yes.
Which I've used a lot of those to my advantage. They added, I forget what they call that skill type, but everyone has a special ultimate skill where you gather enough.
It starts with an M, and it's a big word. It's essentially like it's not a limit bar, it's not like an ultimate attack or anything, but it's kind of a cool, like, you and the enemy are both building this bar to do something. Like the first one that your main character has is just everybody for the next attack, they all crit with whatever attack they're using.
I think it's actually like the next 2 attacks, because usually...
Oh, okay.
Well, no, yeah, right. You do 1 round of attacks. No, I'm pretty sure it's 2 attacks. But honestly, I'm a little foggy how it works, because it seems to work for the entire round that you have control, and sometimes it seems like it comes back, and sometimes it doesn't. I haven't kept good track of that, but
yeah,
it is so far the most useful one I've encountered. And I've had a few demons that have gotten various different ones. Like I think the Neko Shogun, the cat samurai guy gets one, and I think his was pretty good. I think it was like a high damage thing. And then I don't remember the other demon, but I found a couple other demons with different ones, and theirs didn't seem like it was worth it, because usually I'm going for make it stay my turn.
Right. And let me end the enemies fast.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, and like a really solid tactic I've been using on bosses has been if I can crit with everyone the first round, then I can block with everyone the second round. Um,
Oh, sure. Right. Okay.
so that's been super nice.
Right.
And once you identify what the type of damage a boss is going to put out, usually the goal is to find a demon in your party that will nullify that so that they will lose 2 of their turn icons when they hit that demon with it.
Sure.
Um,
Right.
but I'm really enjoying it kind of almost operates like an open world game to an extent, if it
Mm-hmm.
was just dungeon crawl. Just because you're just given this map, and like when I was first put there, I was like, okay, I better not wander off. I better just go straight to the next objective because I'm just going to die. And now I don't care. I just run around everywhere, and I'll run around whatever big demon thing they have in the area. And
Right.
it's comparably, actually, it probably has some DNA with Xenogears in this aspect. Xenosaga. Sorry,
Oh, true.
Xenosaga,
Yeah.
Xenoblade. I'm gonna get the name right
Xenoblade.
one of
Yeah,
these
yeah,
times.
yeah. That's true. Yeah, it's sort of similar where it's like you have this open area with probably some cool stuff to find. And you can kind of do whatever you want. If you feel like you're prepped, let's go do the
Yeah,
next thing. If not, like I like there are also a bunch of like healing and MP items strewn across the map with those little
yeah,
like green, yellow, and red icons. Like I like that they give you an opportunity to, if you need just a little top off, you can just wander around a little bit and get that stuff.
yeah. It's super appreciative. I'm surprised they
Yeah.
put it in there, like, because it
Yeah.
helps immensely with the difficulty. um, but well, I say that honestly, like the further you get in the game, the more you unlock things to
Hmm.
kind of make the gameplay easier. It's the thing I'm getting worried about currently. Like they have this whole system for what do they call it? Glory. Um,
Yes. Hmm.
where the Book of Shadows lady, you can spend glory with her, and as you go through the game, you'll encounter these. I forget what they're called, but like they're like demon concentration areas where it's a big red eyeball thingy. And when
Yep.
you defeat it, it unlocks skills and things you can buy from the Shadow Lady with
They're
glory.
called abscesses, I think.
Yeah, that's it.
So I really wanted to mention the abscesses because I feel like that fixes a big problem that I had with the SMT games that I didn't realize I had, which is usually the SMT games is you beat a boss, here's an entirely new area, at the end of it is going to be another boss. There's only demons from A to B. I really like abscesses because not only does it change up the gameplay where when you get close to an abscess there's just waves of demons pushing at you, and usually they're pretty easy, so if you're ready to fight the abscess, usually those waves are not going to be anything too serious. But I like that you have like a mini boss inside of the abscess when you fight it that for me is helping me figure out how well prepared I am for the area. Like if I go fight, one of the first early ones was a mermaid. I really had a problem with because I pushed from one abscess immediately to another one. That was a real problem. So I like that you can really keep track of how prepared you are as you go through the area instead of like, oh, there's a boss, let me go fight it. He one-shot my entire party. Great. Like it I feel like I'm making a little bit of progress over time as opposed to, well, I guess I need to grind out 5 more levels and try the boss again. Will that be good enough?
Yeah, and so when you get a little bit further in, you're going to encounter an area with like 3 abscesses, and you're going to have a hard time figuring out how to get to at least one of them.
Oh, okay.
Um, so I think that's probably where like some of the level design is going to wind up, which I think is
Neat.
kind of fascinating too.
Yeah.
But I love the whole abscess thing. I
Yeah.
wish there was a little bit more easily found glory. Because glory is also how you unlock your demon skill slots and
Yep.
how many demons you can carry.
Because I think the
Um,
abscesses and then those little guys that are hidden all around the environment, they give you glory
yeah,
too.
the
Yeah.
Memen.
Yes, yes. Yep.
And I think I've found 30 some odd of them so far, and I think
Wow.
there's
Okay.
200 or so,
Oh, I didn't
or at
realize there were
least
so many.
I say that. The list they have given me so far, I think, ends around 200.
Jeez.
And
Okay.
at the rate I'm getting them, I'm kind of wondering if that is just like once I fill that list out, there'll be another list that they give me.
Right, probably. Here, we'll give you 200 more. It's like, oh no.
Yeah, like I have not teleported to a different region, right? I'm still working off
Mm,
the map that you started. I'm just like,
right,
6 ley lines into it.
right.
Man, I'll tell you one thing that Nocturne could have used in that remaster is hitting the left bumper to teleport to your last save spot.
Yeah, yeah, man. I gotta give this credit. You know, you're talking about Nocturne. I feel like SMT5 does something similar to Nocturne that I really liked. That SMT4 didn't, and I liked that in a separate way. But I like that SMT5 has this intro where you're going to school and there are bad guys around, so you gotta find a buddy to go walk home with, and oh, you couldn't, and the train station is blocked, and they're like, oh, can you go save our friend? Yeah, sure. Whoops, I'm in the apocalypse. Like you spend like maybe 15 minutes in like that opening area, and the game's just like, nah, here's a hellscape. This is what you're looking for, right? It's like, yeah, I really was like,
yeah,
uh, SMT4 took a very long time to get to that point, which I kind of dug in a different way. Um, and I do like that SMT5 opens with the standard SMT map of like, you're a little like upside down triangle and you're walking around this cool map. And then
yeah,
eventually it's just like, nah, we got this open world thing. Here you go.
yeah. Like
I like that a lot.
I'm betting like at some point you will go back to like a little old school SMT
Yeah.
map where you're wandering around, and that's how you'll get between areas. But
I hope, because I always really dig that stuff.
yeah, well, and I'm getting close to finding um, the kid I'm looking for. Like I feel
Oh,
like
okay.
he's probably past this next boss, but this next boss just is obliterating me. Like
Yeah.
the boss I'm on currently does like AoE attacks with electric and Zon, and
Oh boy.
none of the demons in my current level range null any of that.
Oh,
Um,
sure.
so I got to figure out a way to deal with that, and I have not. And I'm also not doing enough damage to this demon either.
Mm.
So it's I don't know, it's a thing. I guess like so a lot of the gameplay loop in this is every time you level up, you get access to like 2 or 3 more demons you can fuse, or at least
Hmm.
that's about the rate I'm getting them. And that may change once I find another demon family or something like that. But
Mm.
it's, um, gosh, actually, just speaking about the demon fusion stuff, one of the things I really, really like is the first couple demon levels, they can get pretty quickly. So, like, like right now, it's too expensive for me to summon from the demonic compendium to use infusions. So,
Let's talk about this
but
real quick, because like I feel like this is one of the biggest quality of life improvements that Atlas has put in any of their games for a really long time. I think this is the first one I've run into. I don't think Persona 5 Royal does this. Um, but I like that you have the normal, like, fuse demons, you pick X number of demons, and then it comes up with something. Or you do the reverse one where you pick what you want to fuse, the result you want to fuse, and it says, oh, here are the demons you have in your party right now, or like your stock that you can turn into. I like the reverse compendium one the most, where it's like you get to pick your result and it picks from both your party, like your stock of them, and demons you can pull from the compendium. That's such a huge one, as opposed to like, all right, I want to make Neko Shogun and I have to pick out these 3 demons. I've already forgotten what they are. All right, I'm going to write them down this time. Now I have to find them in the list. I don't know which arcana they are, whatever. Like, I think that's such a huge, huge improvement of, I just want to make a Neko Shogun. What are my options and how much does it cost?
yeah, it is wonderful. I feel
Yeah.
like Persona 5. I can't remember if they had the straight up compendium one or not, honestly.
feel
I
like
feel
Royal
like they
didn't,
had
because I
something
was
similar to it, but nowhere
yeah,
near as like I can just make a shopping list out of Persona 5. I just go to the reverse
yeah,
compendium confusion. I'm like, I want to make this. Okay, I need these 2 demons. So now I'm going to teleport to these areas and recruit them again real quick because it's too
exactly.
expensive. And man, it's great. Like you
Yeah,
can find out so much so quickly. But like it's also a slightly different gameplay. Whereas, the last few Persona games I played, I would just constantly summon from the compendium. And
yeah,
here, they are so expensive. Like I'm re-recruiting them every single time.
yeah. They're prohibitively expensive. Which I mean, in the early game, has always been kind of the point, but
Yeah,
it especially feels expensive in this one for some reason.
yeah. Like it's like a basic level 5 demon. You're probably shelling out 3 or 4,000 Maka, which may be
Hmm.
more than you have right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like I'm only now getting to a point where I'm getting around like the 10 to 12,000 range of Maka on a regular basis, and then I
Okay.
will occasionally be like, well, this one I have registered really has a skill set that I'd like to transfer,
Ah,
but
right.
also like once you recruit a guy, like so a lot of the demons I'm finding, like I'll go through the list and I'll be like, oh, I can recruit this level 2 slime, and then I can go
Hmm.
get this other guy and then fuse them. But if I just fight like an enemy in the area I'm in now with this level 2 slime in the back burner, he will level up once or twice,
Oh,
like
true. Yeah, yeah.
after that fight. So it's changed kind of the gameplay loop and what I do there
Hmm.
because of that. So um, let's see. I will say the map gets fairly confusing in some parts.
Mm.
I really like the verticality. I guess we
Yes.
haven't said it on this podcast, but you can jump,
Yep.
you can dash, or
Both
Naruto
of
run,
those
I
were
think,
pretty
as you put
surprising.
it. Uh, Man, it's like a gnat or something in here for anyone watching my video. I'm worried it's a mosquito. um, but there are certain areas you'll look and you'll be like, well, crap, I can see there's like a quest point or sub quest point down here. Like, how the heck do I get down there?
Hmm.
And there's a lot of like figuring how you can backtrack and go up and then down and
Yeah.
around to get there, which is sometimes enjoyable. Sometimes, like, I'm thinking, oh, I'll just get there later, and it turns out I could have gotten there all along.
Oh,
Um,
sure. And on top of that, you have that little friend you have that's pointing out hidden stuff in the environment all the time
yeah,
too. So there's kind of a lot to do in the environment, which is kind of fun as opposed to like, oh, here's a corridor, go from A to B. I guess talk to some demons along the way. It's like, no, there's a ton of stuff hidden in all these nooks and crannies.
yeah, like the side quest is what you spend your time doing when you
Yep.
encounter a boss that doesn't work out for you.
Right.
Um, and it's been cool finding those. They have all these notations on the map for the side quest, and I kind of wish they had just done put the cursor, like not a straight up mouse and keyboard interface, but a dash around the different points, and then it can tell you which subquest that point is
Oh,
related to.
sure. Right.
Like right now, I have to find these 3 talismans for one of my subquests, and I have no idea where the third one is.
Mm,
There's this one point that I keep thinking I haven't been to before, and then I get there and I'm like, oh, right, this is this boss. I'm just not going to be able to fight for a long time.
right.
And that is not the third talisman I'm looking for. And I've done it like multiple times because I keep forgetting, and it's it's an area with a lot of dilapidated buildings that has a lot of
Hmm.
verticality to it, so it's easy for me to forget.
Get all turned
And I'm
around.
not, yeah, like they
Yeah.
do make it so where when you level up to a certain point, certain enemies will run away from you, but
I do like
that's
that, yeah.
it's usually in previous areas and not the current area you're in.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And
but
if you're really feeling the squeeze, like you really got to get through a bunch of fights and make sure you can get them. I do like the option of talking to an enemy that you already have in your party, and them just saying like, "Oh yeah, of course you got another slime. Hey, tell him how's he doing," and then the fight just ends. You don't get rewards or anything, but you don't have to worry about fighting that thing.
Sometimes you do.
Oh, great. Okay. Sometimes they just like give you a thing.
They will. I have gotten many life stones from those, and I've gotten some maca.
Oh, great. Okay.
Seems to be very random. Like when I first, like at the beginning of the game, it seemed like it happened a lot to me.
Right.
And the further I get in, the less often it seems to happen.
Okay.
But also so I'm sure everyone, I'm sure everyone's kept up on the tweets on this. No, they haven't.
Right. Right.
What's wrong with my brain? So one of the interesting things one of the super entertaining things I think in this is when you go to recruit a demon and for whatever reason you can't, that demon type will remember you.
Yes. Yep.
So, like, I think I tried to recruit a demon that was too high level for me. And he's like, "What are you doing? Yeah, I can't go with you now. But you know what? If you get stronger, maybe I will." And
yeah.
When I came back, he remembered and joined up, and it was awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, I've seen some people on Twitter being like, "Oh, look at this guy with too many friends. You can't come hang out with me." And you get rid of one demon. He's like, "All right, yeah, all right. Now you got the right amount of friends. I can come with you."
So, and I'm not. So this next point I'm about to make, I'm not 100% sure on, but I'm
okay.
We'll say I'm like 80% sure on.
Okay.
In previous Shin Megami Tensei games, the demon personality was random. Here, it seems to be consistent to the type of demon.
Okay.
So your conversation options to recruit like a Kate Sith are going to be very similar anytime you try to do it.
Right. It seems like there's a lot less randomness from conversation to conversation. Like if you try and recruit a Kate Sith back to back, if they ask you the same question, it seems like the answer will stay the same, as opposed to just being like, he's asking me for some maca. The first time I answered him no, he said, "Oh, you should just give me the maca." And I agree with you. I feel like in previous games, you would go and you would try to answer next or yes the next time, and I'd be like, "How dare you give me a handout? I'm not coming with you." And she's like, wait a minute, that's not how that's supposed to go.
It feels like there's a consistency to it that previous games lacked. Like I'm fairly certain in Nocturne they had, I don't know, 5 or 6 different demon personalities, and you just had to figure out which one it was.
Right.
And it was random every time. So like I've had much more success in recruiting demons in this game than I have in any other Shin Megami Tensei game.
Me too. Yeah.
But I'm not super far in. I play a little bit, I don't know, every other day. Like I'm kind of bummed that I have not figured out this boss I'm on yet. So that's taken some of the wind out of my sails, but I'll get there. It's just so much harder than everything right now.
Yeah. I feel like my only complaint about this game, and I know this is just the squeaky wheel, is the performance is really bad. The frame rate is, let's say, inconsistent, to put it nicely. And it's really a bummer because it's a game that looks pretty good. I like a lot of the new looks for a lot of the demons. I think they did a really good job kind of modernizing a lot of these. Some of these designs have been around for 30 years. Like the PC Engine is where SMT was like really got big. So like I feel like they did a really good job where they sort of dropped the ball maybe for a lot of people on SMT4 with kind of modernizing the designs. I feel like they really nailed it on this one. But man, if this was ever a game that would really shine on like PS4 and PC, SMT5 would really be one of those. Like it is hamstrung by the hardware, which a lot of Switch games are. And it plays fine, but it's just, especially coming off of something like Persona 5 Royal, where it's like, yeah, all right, like this is This is a solid Rocksteady game. This one's kind of a bit of a bummer. But I don't think that's a reason to skip on it. I don't think the performance is so bad that it's like, wait for the PC port or wait for the PS4 port. I wouldn't go that far, but, bear in mind it's not a super smooth experience.
Yeah, it's unfortunate with how good it looks, yet also,
yeah,
it's just, I don't know, man. It's, I don't know if I just got used to it or it runs better. I think I probably just got used to it. Like,
yeah,
like the first couple areas you're in, like anytime you'd go to pause, like you could see the
the
pause
first
screen does an animation and it drops some frames when it does it.
Yeah, I feel like the first couple areas are kind of the worst, and then ironically, when the game opens up a little bit to bigger areas, it seems like that gets a little bit better.
Gosh, I have such a hard time telling, but
yeah.
I guess I've been playing in handheld mode too recently because I've been grinding. Like,
I
really like the music a lot in this game because it has like a big creep vibe. But
it's really good.
As you heard during dungeon encounters, I like watching TV when I'm grinding.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and I feel like I've played this both docked and handheld, and this might just be me, but I feel like it runs a little bit better handheld as opposed to docked. I don't know if the decrease in resolution helps it a lot more, or if I just like laying on the couch and fusing a bunch of demons. I'm not entirely sure, but it's a great game. You and I have been looking forward to this game for, I feel like, the majority of the runtime of this show, like the years that we've been doing this show together. And I'm happy that it is here, and it seems exceptionally great so far.
Yeah. Let me think. I know we've talked about it a long time. Let me just say...
No, it's okay. There's a lot there. I mean, it's a big game.
Yeah. Let me just address the Persona conversation. Like, I know we talked about it last podcast and whatnot. Like,
it's worth talking about again.
Yeah. Like, I know they have very similar combat systems and they use a lot of the same art assets, but really this is a dungeon crawler. This is a explore the world game. You aren't going to get much, like, the story. Like, this is the... Oh, what did I feel like I thought of a phrase that would make everyone mad.
I feel like it's, if someone is saying like, oh, I loved Final Fantasy VII Remake, should I play Dungeon Encounters? It's like, no. Like, they're JRPGs, but they're so different from each other in like fundamental ways. And that's what I've been saying a lot. We talked about it a bunch on TVGP right before SMT5 came out, is like, the obvious and the question you should be asking, and I will never fault anybody for asking the question, and I think people that are giving shade on the internet for people asking this question should shut the hell up. If you enjoyed Persona 5, you enjoyed Persona 4, or whatever, that's fantastic. The next question should be, oh, well, this looks like a similar thing. Should I pick up SMT5? And my knee-jerk answer is almost always no, because if you like Persona 5 for the social links and the calendar and the school and the story and all that stuff, none of that is in SMT5. Like, there's almost no story. There's nearly no dialogue. It is a mechanics-based game. If you like bashing your head against seemingly impossible scenarios in combat, that's SMT5. Like, you should be picking this up, but if not, like, you should really not. You should pass on it.
Like, this is the phrase I thought of that I think might make people mad.
Okay.
Dark Souls is the SMT of the action games, and I say that in reverse order because SMT existed before Dark Souls. But,
right. Yeah, it very much like they share a lot of DNA, but the stuff that you like about Persona is removed from SMT5 and replaced with depression.
Yeah.
Like, SMT5 doesn't have story, but what's story there is a bummer. And, like, it's not going to get any better.
Like, it's mostly going to be environmental storytelling, if any. And
then probably at the end, you'll make the choice, like with capital T, capital C.
Like, if you play Dark Souls for the story, then, okay, maybe SMT 5 will
Yeah,
have a story for you.
yeah.
But like, yeah,
And very much like dungeon counters, if you're looking for something that is heavily mechanics based, if you're looking for like a JRPG where you get to play a game for the majority of the time, as opposed to like watch cutscenes and listen to the cool music and stuff, then it really is like it really is the cream of the crop.
yeah, it's I think it's awesome. I'm glad it's gotten some attention. I I feel bad for Persona people going to it thinking they're going to get a Persona game, but
Mm-hmm.
also I don't know. I have to listen. Like I have a tendency of when something comes out that I'm excited about, I'll look up podcasts about it, and then I remember, oh right, we live in a world where most people are just complaining about the things I like.
Right, right,
We don't, and like that was kind of my experience in looking this one up. But at the same
right.
time, it's like, okay, if they are actually going to this looking for Persona, like one, they shouldn't have done that, but two, I get it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, and it's always, we ran into this with SMT4 too, where it's almost, you almost wish that Atlas would just be like, hey, Persona players, just wait for the next one. Everybody else, SMT4, SMT5. It's like they obviously can't come out with a marketing that's that clear about like all the stuff you loved. It's out of here. But
yeah.
that's the cautionary tale that people need to share.
I feel like gosh, if you dig into like the history of this stuff, and it's been years since I've read up on this, so I'm sure I'll get some of it wrong, but like in Japan, like Persona is distinctly a separate franchise from
Yes,
Megami Tensei. Like
right,
there's no like the Shin they added on years later, and then here when they started marketing both of them, they just lumped them together.
right. Oh, it's SMT Persona 4. And it's like,
Yeah.
I
It's
mean, not really.
yeah, like I
Yeah.
get like you're using like a lot of the same game assets between these things,
Hmm.
but
Well, and
like
when Persona 3 came out and became an unexpected hit, because like Persona 1 and 2 in the US, Persona 2 is like a whole separate podcast by itself. But like neither one of those really took the world by storm. And 3, for some, perfect lightning strike, made it huge on the PS2. I feel like our marketing around that was like Atlas, the Shin Megami Tensei people, and everyone was like, I don't know what that is, but I got a dog in my party, cool. So like, I think it was just one of those kind of
yeah.
JRPGs historically have been hard to market in the US because people don't care about them too much unless it's Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest. So Atlas has always sort of had a hard time.
Yeah, it's gosh, I feel like every couple years, like you see an article hit the rise and fall of JRPGs. I'm like,
100, yeah.
they're
Where have
still
all the
here, man.
JRPGs gone? They're the dying genre. It's like, yeah, okay.
You're just talking about Square, like that's all you're talking about. You're
Right,
talking
Square
about
hasn't put out a Final Fantasy game in 2 years. The JRPGs are dead. It's like, okay,
yeah,
there we
yeah.
go.
Settle down, settle
Right,
down. We're still here. Like the niche still exists. I
right,
realize like Final Fantasy VII was huge, but
right.
like
This is our 125th episode of this show we do monthly, and we always record like at least an hour every month. So like, RPGs are fine.
Persona 5 before
Right,
Royal,
right.
sold several million copies.
Yep.
Like
Persona
we're
4 is a massively huge hit.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
I saw one of those articles a couple months back. It really
Yep.
bothered me.
Yeah, they pop
I
up
did
every
not
once in a
click on
while.
it.
Yeah.
Uh, anyway, so that's Shin Megami Tensei 5. I'll talk about the other two games I did briefly.
Sure.
So played more Shining Force.
Right.
That's another one of my comfort food, watch TV games. That is, I really dislike some of the level design in Shining Force. I shouldn't rag on like an ancient game like from 40 years ago, whenever that came out. Maybe not 40, maybe 30.
Oh man, it might be 30 by this point. Yeah.
Yeah, like they just have some early design where they have some choke points, and like the way you level up in that game is, per individual unit. So you're either sending a low-level unit to die there, or you're over-leveling a leveled-up unit.
I mean, you even see some of that stuff in Final Fantasy Tactics. Like, some of those maps are just like, all right, yeah, great, this is this battle. This just sucks every time. Great.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, I'll get past, like, I'll try that level 3 or 4 times and then accidentally kill my hero. Like, if your main guy dies, then you have to start the level over, but you get to keep your experience, so...
Okay. That's not so bad.
Yeah, so it's pretty forgiving, like, in terms of, especially RPGs of that era. But, then you get to a new city, and you get a couple more guys, and then, oh, surprise, I just met my first bird person, so they'll be joining my party soon.
They're cool. Yeah, I forgot about those.
Excited about that. I'll get the bird people, and someone gave me a Domingo egg, and I don't remember when that hatches, but at some point, like, if I remember correctly, the Domingo eggs in your party, like, let me think. You go through the initial, how did it go? Like, you have an egg in your inventory, and then at some point it hatches, but it doesn't really hatch. You just get like 2 eyes and an egg thing that you add to your party. And then you class change, and then the egg kind of cracks and has like a tentacle or something that comes out of it.
Right. I forgot about that. Yeah. What a cool game.
They have so many fun things. And
so
I wish they could find like themselves again and put out another one of these. It's good. I don't know. Can you just contract out like the Fire Emblem people to?
Yeah. Shining Force has always seemed like that series that was way ahead of its time. Like, this is so many cool things. Like, you came out with one of those on PS1 or PS2 after Final Fantasy Tactics, it would be a million seller. Like, people would have finally gotten it.
Yeah. Well, man, Final Fantasy Tactics is so much more complicated.
Yeah.
But I feel like Fire Emblem uses a similar leveling system, I feel like, in a way.
Yeah.
And like they have some of that DNA. So I feel like there's a place in the world for Shining Force.
For sure.
They haven't figured out how to do it. And I feel like the main components are just put all the fun units. Hey, you get a robot. Like,
yeah, exactly. Whatever.
I ran into like a scientist who's experimenting, and he has a mouse in a like thing of steam armor that he's trying to work.
Love it.
I forgot that dude joins my party later. Like, that guy's really frustrating to level up, but great.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Anyway, good comfort food. It's on it's on every Sega collection imaginable. But
yeah, any platform that has a Sega collection, it's probably in there.
Yeah, but I am specifically playing it on the Nintendo Switch Sega monthly subscription thing.
Oh, the online thing.
Yeah. And then last but not least, I started playing Outer Worlds again. It was on Game Pass on PC, and I thought, man, I haven't played the DLC. And I thought Game Pass came with the DLC, and I was wrong.
Oh, bummer.
Then I bought the DLC for $20. And it's still like, so the DLC you don't get to until level 30, and I opted to just start a new game. So it was going to be a while before it hit anyway. But what I had to do was I had to go to each individual, like, so I bought the expansion pass is basically what it was for like $20.
Yeah, because there's like 2 pieces of DLC out now.
Yes.
Okay.
So one you can start at level 30, one you can start at level 40. They did not automatically install. I had to go to each DLC's page, and what the page said was, gosh, it had some really confusing phrase on it, like install. It was like
you could purchase it for free because you had the pass, but you didn't have it automatically, and then you needed to install it.
Like, I don't think I got it for free with the pass. Like, I think that is just not a thing, but it insinuated it was installed when you went to the page. Oh, right. It said play or install. That's right. And
okay.
That was very confusing.
Those are opposites.
Click on that button, it'll install it.
Okay. Gotcha. I wonder if it's one of those things where it's like you can play, the base game or install the DLC. And it's like, well, oh, sure, that's confusing.
Yeah. So Anyway, I got it installed now. I'm playing through it, and it's I got past I just completely forgot the first area's name, but I got to the groundbreaker, the spaceship.
Oh, okay.
So I still really like that game.
Yeah.
I wish, like, Obsidian, I feel like has this habit, because I feel like they did the same kind of progression with New Vegas, where the game does not immediately open up as wide as I would like it to.
Yeah. Yep.
And I guess it's not bad in terms of introducing you to the systems and different things like that. But anyway, like, I still really like that world. I like the feeling of kind of this Elder Scrolls Firefly kind of experience.
Yep.
And, the corporate hellscape. And I'm now questioning whether I really like this game. I don't know if I have it in me to play through the whole thing again. So we'll see if I actually get to the DLC.
Right.
Because it took a little bit longer to get through the initial settlement than I thought it would.
Yeah, that first area is, for like a tutorial area, is a little bit longer than I expected.
Yeah. But like the writing in it's so much fun, even if they do some quest lines a little weird. Like that first area is either direct power to the manufacturing place,
Yeah.
or power to the greenhouse place. And to me, the best ending is you direct power to the manufacturing place, and then you go back to the greenhouse place where they hate you, and then convince them to go take over the manufacturing place.
Yeah, right.
I want to say it's Zoo's Hope. It's not Zoo's Hope. That's a different game, I think.
Right. I was going to say, like, that sounds familiar.
It's the Saltuna packing place, but anyway, it doesn't.
Yes.
I would still like that game. I just wanted an Elder Scrolls type game to kind of keep me company for a minute. Something basic I could get through. And
it's
unfortunately,
good.
I think I am rolling up the same exact character I did the first time I played through it.
Consistency.
Yes. I thought I would deviate, and then I did not. Like, I really wanted to do stupid speech, and I think I just need to do stupid speech a different year. So
yeah.
And then, oh wait, no, that's everything I've played.
Okay.
So what have you been playing, Boston?
The only other game I have been playing, because we already talked about SMT5, is I've happily been playing Final Fantasy V Pixel Remaster. That has finally come out. I had to look at my notes. I didn't talk about that last month. I've been really happy with this, and I was going into it assuming it was going to have the same problems that every version of Final Fantasy has, or Final Fantasy V has, after the Game Boy Advance version, which is like, you kind of screwed it up in some fundamental way. Like, everything's fine except for this one kind of glaring bad spot. So far, it's really good. I think of special note, one of the bigger complaints I had for Final Fantasy 1, the Pixel Remaster version, is that they had all these kind of minor 3D effects that kind of seemed out of place, and they did them in just the right places in Final Fantasy V that it looks really good. Like, it really complements all the extra work they did in 5. The new soundtrack sounds incredible. More so than the other games, they've kept a lot of the initial instruments that they had from the original soundtrack that were, let's say, kind of iconic. Like the timpani drums on the Overworld theme. They largely kept the Super NES samples for those, because those are kind of the thing that keeps all the stuff tied together. And then they put higher quality samples around that. And the marriage of the two works really well in a way that I don't think I was expecting. Everything looks really great. Everything runs really great. They've done a little bit of work to kind of update the translation, especially around Ferris's reveal. If you haven't played Final Fantasy V before, here's a really early spoiler. Ferris is presented as a guy throughout the majority of the beginning of the game. If you played Final Fantasy V before, it's probably like a hot 2 hours. If you haven't, it's probably more than a handful of hours. And then at some point, you find out that Ferris is actually a woman and has just been disguising herself as a guy. And one of the lines, the PlayStation 1 translation of it is terrible. I'm not even going to mention it. One of the lines in the Game Boy Advance version that I never really liked was Galuf at some point says, like, "Oh, my stars," and something. He's a she. I never really liked that line because I always feel like that's kind of crappy. Like, it just, the he's a she kind of line is always sort of like, oh, are we talking about like the terrible Ace Ventura ending or something? Like it never rang as great as I thought it could. In this one, he says like, "Oh, my stars," and whatever. I don't remember the exact line. He's a woman, and it's like, okay, great. That's a way better. Like, just changing that one word makes that whole thing a little bit more modern without kind of messing with the entire reveal there. So far they haven't really done too much other work. Some stuff has been changed and kind of clarified, because Final Fantasy V on the Game Boy Advance has an uneven translation. They still have the wrong thing for the sandworm. The translation is, if you use magic on it, you're going to be sorry. That's not... You're supposed to use magic on the sandworm, just don't hit the empty holes, and then it won't counterattack you. But like that's like the smallest thing. It has auto battle, which is really great, because if you're going to level up your jobs, you're going to be auto battling a whole lot. And it like does 1.5 times speed. It remembers your attacks, so you can go pretty nuts with that. It's pretty great. And in the best way, it's Final Fantasy V. Like, it doesn't have any of the Game Boy Advance stuff, so the extra dungeons, the extra jobs, which aren't that great anyway. It doesn't have all that stuff, but it's Final Fantasy V. It looks better. It runs great. And probably, again, it will be ignored because Final Fantasy VI is going to be coming out pretty soon. And people are just going to go play that instead. Which I don't blame you, because 6 is great. But 5 is just such a... 5's my favorite. And it's just such a cool, weird, campy thing. Like, they kept all the campiness in it, which I think is kind of exceptional. Like, you fight a tree in that game. Like, it's so dumb and fun, and there's a great... I guess here's a larger spoiler. At the end of a fairly significant portion of the game, about the 2/3 mark, your team rushes in to stop the bad guy from doing what he's doing, and you're like, "You're not going to get away with it, X-Death," because the bad guy's name is X-Death, which is really great. And he's like, "Do you even know what I'm trying to do?" And your main character's like, "No, I actually don't." And he's like, "Yeah, great. Anyways, I'm going to destroy you." It's just like, you don't even know what the bad guy's trying to do, and you're like, I'm going to stop you." And he's like, "Dummy, you don't even know what my plans are. Like, what are you even doing?" That's what I love about Final Fantasy V. It's just like, this team of 4 idiots is just rushing around the planet, just being like, "We got to save this bad guy." And the bad guy's like, "You don't even... Come on, man. We're not even in the same league. Get out of here." So yeah, I think I wish there was more to talk about with Pixel Remaster, but like all of the other ones, the best thing is they didn't screw them up, and it looks and sounds really great. So go play Final Fantasy V, or wait until the hopefully inevitable 6-pack comes out on Switch, and then just kind of go play through all of them. But don't skip 5. 5 is really great. But that's all I've been playing this month, so let's take a short break, and then we'll be back with our top 5. Man, if this cough could go away. Okay, let me take a quick drink, and then we'll get into the thing here.
Okay.
Oh, it's 4:30. All right, we'll keep this train rolling. All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. I have another one that I need to put in this list here. All right. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. We're going to talk about our, as I talked about here at the top of the episode, we're going to talk about our top five most favorite games, RPGs we played this year. Not in any real order, maybe. Just kind of 5 RPGs we really dug this year that maybe we finished, maybe we haven't, maybe they came out this year, maybe they didn't. No big deal. We're not big about rules around here. We're just looking to talk about some cool RPGs. Musim, why don't we start off with your first one, fifth one, wherever you want to start.
All right. So these are in a loose order. You could rearrange most of them, but we'll say my top 3 are kind of equals, and the others are probably just like a little bit below it. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, so this one is Dragon's Crown Pro.
Yeah.
I forgot how much I like this game. And I'm actively fight my brain not to immediately go back to it because I never beat the original, and I have all these leveled up characters, and I love that game. It's I will say though, revisiting it this year, the female, like back in the day when everyone complained about the female artwork, I was like, you guys are too sensitive on this, and now
right.
I'm on their side. It's a
bit on
much.
TVGP we drew a distinction between art style, which I think the game has an incredible art style,
yes,
and art content. The content is the suspicious one, where it's like, oh man, this dragon looks cool. Look at these beefy dudes. All right, this is a cool Amazon lady. Boo, some of this stuff here is a little bit not great.
It's the Amazon lady's moves. She's a couple of them that are like,
It's mostly like the witch lady, and there's like that paladin lady you're rescuing in like the in-between areas where you're just like, oh, I don't...
The item shop lady makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, the item shop. Yeah, there's a couple things in there where it's like, this is like 95% of the game, totally cool. The other 5%, little bit rough.
But gosh, you just get like a Golden Axe style game that you get to level up these characters and get really cool abilities, and you have this really ridiculous storyline with these ridiculous looking characters.
Yeah, branching paths, multiple dungeons.
Yeah, like that's a great game. And I love that I installed the PS4 version that I got for $5, and it pulled my save games from the PS3 version immediately. Like no effort. It's wonderful.
Mine did from the Vita version. It's like, hey, you got this save here from the Vita. Do you want to carry that over? And it's like, yes, incredible. I don't know how I did that. Great.
Yeah. So, what do you got?
My first one here is The Ascent. This came out on PC and Xbox this year. It's on Game Pass still. This is probably the game that gets Cyberpunk the most right. I haven't played Cyberpunk 2077. This is not a slight against that because I have no experience with it. But most games that do Cyberpunk are like, ooh, neon lights, ooh, kanji, oh, ooh. And it's like, that's not really what it is. And I feel like this one really gets it right, where you start in this like just gross, rain-drenched neon area where everybody is miserable and doing like 10 jobs at once just to scrape by. And it really gets like the body modification stuff right. It's an incredible looking game. I played this on the Series X. I know it looks even better on PC, and I haven't had a chance to check it out over there. And it's a really cool kind of dual stick shooter RPG, where you're using skills and kind of your modified skills, but you're also using like deployable skills. But it also has this kind of cool system where the guns you're using, you can't aim down sights or anything, but if you hold the left trigger, you kind of raise your gun up in the air. So if you're behind cover, you can kind of shoot over cover, or if you're at the bottom of a short set of stairs and something's at the top, you just raise your gun and just, just kind of take care of the stuff that's on top of the stairs. At launch, it had kind of an uneven difficulty, but kind of a cool boss battles the whole way through. The last boss is way more creative than I thought it was going to be, and it's just kind of a cool little thing. And I never played co-op as much as I wanted to, but the Ascent is kind of a cool, neat thing. You don't always get a lot of it. It felt like a cool, CRPG in kind of the best ways. So go check it out. What's your next one here, Musum?
Dungeon encounters.
Yeah, that's my next one too.
We just talked so much about that.
Yeah.
Gosh, this game it's just, it's what I want out of a dungeon crawler, like distilled. Like it, and it's amazing that they did it, and it is so addicting. And I'm excited to get back to it probably next year if I'm being realistic, because I think my dungeon crawling is going to go to SMT5 for the moment. But
right.
It's a cool experience, and it's, if it goes on sale, you should definitely pick it up if you like dungeon crawlers.
Yeah, I actually platinumed dungeon encounters, so like I mapped every single tile of every single floor, and I got every skill, and I got all the wanderers and everything, and I was still kind of itching to keep playing that game. I didn't fight all of the extra super bosses, because one of them is really brutal. But I think you said it really well in our first segment, that just it scratches that really special itch, that if you really like JRPGs and you really want like a mechanics focused RPG by the guy that made the active time battle system and the person that made the sequel to Final Fantasy 12, like they made some really cool stuff, and they made this really cool game that it probably was really hard to market, but you should give it a shot. It's a really cool thing. I love it. It's definitely one of my favorite games this year.
Yeah, it was, man, that thing, in a way, like you've been talking it up for a while, but in a way it kind of came out of nowhere.
I'd been keeping an eye on it for a while, because they showed an initial trailer where they showed like maybe a minute, and a lot of it was like walking around the dungeon and like the pictures and the battle system attacking each other, and it reminded me of like some of the stuff that Square put out on the PS1 and the PS2, where it's like, all right, this isn't the like multi-billion-dollar games they're putting out, and it isn't like the B squad of games they're putting out. It's after that, where it's like one guy had, like one producer is like, hey, I got a great idea, I need $1 million. The Square's like, hey, you can try something for $1 million, whatever. And it's like, oh, well, here's Saga Frontier 2. And it's like, I love it. Great. You made a really weird thing that I really dig. Super. So I was keeping an eye on it because of that, and I'm really glad it paid off, and I'm really glad that you and me and the Nymph really gave it a shot, and all three of us really fell in love with it. Yeah.
So my number 3 is Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Yeah.
I think this is a fantastic version of this game. Mass Effect, especially that original trilogy, I think is one of my favorite franchises of all time. It only recently occurred to me that I now have a machine that will hopefully run Andromeda properly, so I might give that another shot next year. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I mean, this version is, I mean, it's everything you'd want, right? Like they make a lot of improvements on the first game, in terms of like the inventory management, still a little bit of a headache, but is less of a headache. The graphics on the first one are still going to look old. The gameplay is still going to be a bit old, but they've done some things to improve it and to give it a little more consistency with the next 2 games.
But without kind of losing the spirit of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not like you can look at the graphic images, and yeah, they drastically changed some of the lighting, but like it's really not drastic graphics change.
Right.
You
And
know?
it's not like a run and gun shooter now. It's like
Yeah,
here's Gears of War 6. It's like, no, it's still Mass Effect 1.
yeah. It's still probably the best way to experience Mass Effect 1, and
Yeah.
you have those 3 games with all their DLC except for the one. And my understanding is on PC they've even found a way to, like, the
Yeah,
fan community has modded it in.
yeah, a modder recently just put it out. It's like, oh, okay, great.
Yeah, man. I mean, BioWare probably knew
Impressive.
that was coming.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, like if something can happen, a mod community will do it.
Yeah.
But anywho, Mass Effect's great. You probably already know that.
Yeah. My next one is Fuga Melodies of Steel. This is another one that I really took a chance on. I had never played any of the other Little Bronx series games from CyberConnect. But man, there was something really about this game that kind of is one of those games you look at and you're like, I should probably give this a chance. This looks like it's really cool. And it turns out, surprisingly, a game where you pilot a giant livable like a tank that 12 kids live in and fight a dog army. Turns out that it's actually pretty good. And this is another one that's definitely one of my games of the year that it will probably forever be remembered as the game where you sacrifice a kid by shooting him into a cannon to one-shot a boss. And sure, that's a part of the game. But there's so much about it, very much like Dungeon Encounters, where it's like there's a level of strategy there that isn't apparent on the surface. There is kind of like a rock, paper, scissors sort of thing with the 3 different types of guns you have on the tank and kind of mixing and matching all these party members. And but what I really loved was the complementary gameplay in between battles, where you're kind of living in the tank and you're making friends with the other kids and improving the tank and, you know, taking care of the little sheep that you have there and growing stuff in the farm and making food and having all of that stuff, those buffs and those improvements carry over into the tank gameplay itself, where if these kids are friends, they're building essentially their super meter faster, and they'll have more skills available, and those skills will be even stronger, and stuff like that. And it's a really good game with a really cool art style and a really good story and just really solid gameplay. And it's impressive to see them come out with a game that has a very small budget and really get creative around some of the limitations that they had in front of them. And Fuga is really, really great, and it's one of those games I will probably say, like, you know, in a couple of years, people are like, oh, what game did we miss from PS4 and PS5? And I will probably say this pretty readily, and hope that people will play it.
It's on my wish list on Switch.
Yeah.
Once I have time, I'm getting to it. Like, it sounds awesome. But
yeah. What's your next one?
Persona 5 Royal.
Hey, that's my next one too.
Like, it's the definitive version of the game. Like, even if I'm not, I've been trying to think about how to put this. Like, I'm not fond of how little free time you get once you get to the new area at the end of the game, but I am fond of the interesting story setup they have for it in kind of multiple directions. And it's a thing where they said, like, I feel like what they said was, how can we make a DLC that is built up to in the initial game?
Right, like this missing time frame.
Yeah, and I think they do that part in a really interesting way. And I think all the game improvements they make this the version of the game you should probably play.
Yep. It's very much like Persona 4 Golden, where it's like, yes, you should play Persona 4, and this is the version you should play. Same with Persona 5 Royal. Like, yes, you should play Persona 5. It's incredible. Here's the best version of it.
Yeah. I need to get back to that and beat it. Like, because I'm in that new semester. I bet I just have another 10 hours and I'll finish the game.
Yeah, I think I'm in, like, the second month. I think we start in March or something, and I think I'm in in April at this point, and yeah, man, it's just every bit as good as it was the first time around, and it's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, you have a grappling hook now, great. It's like, no man, you got a grappling hook, and like you can zip around these dungeons now, and it's awesome. It's like, yeah, all right, that's super cool. Like there's something about Persona 5. It's not my favorite Persona game, but it's exceptionally good, and playing through it again is just like, yeah, man, this is just a really great RPG. Like it's just a great game.
They did a great job on it. And like
Yep.
that Royal version, like you get a new like quality of life improvement about every 2 to 3 in-game months or so, or something like
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yep.
that's anyway.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's really great. And what's your last one? I'm thinking number 5 or number 1.
Yep, this will be my number 1.
All right.
SMT5.
Yep.
I adore this game. And making this list, I feel bad sometimes on this podcast because I replay so many things that I've talked about before. But that's just kind of the gamer I am,
Yeah.
like there are just certain things I do for comfort food, and SMT5 is by far the newest thing I've played this year that isn't just a re-release of something else. And it's they take a lot of the ideas in Nocturne and apply it to this cool kind of semi-open world format, and they do just a metric ton of quality of life improvements to it while still keeping a fairly difficult dungeon crawler in there.
Yeah.
And I think I briefly mentioned it, but I love like they have this really dark horror-esque soundtrack to it. That
it's so good. Oh man.
God, I don't know. This is a game I will probably be playing off and on for the next year, I'm sure. I doubt I finished this under 100 hours, right? Like,
yeah, like we were talking about that on TVGP recently. Is like SMT5 will probably on TVGP will probably get an honorable mention from me because there's no chance I'm finishing this in like the next 2 weeks for it to be eligible. But that's okay, because like an SMT game I work on, and I get to a boss and I bash my head against it, and then I don't play it for a week, and then I come back and, oh yeah, I gotta fuse some demons. I love doing that. And then you fuse for a couple hours, and then you beat that boss next time. Like it's a game that I don't like rushing through like Persona or SMT games. I like really kind of looking at everything and kind of trying everything out, and SMT5 seems really good for that.
Yeah. And realistically, this list was never going to be composed entirely of games that I had beaten just because of the nature of like I'm not gonna like we're talking like multiple games that come out every month of the year that are all 100 hours long. Like I'm never gonna
that's impossible. Yeah, my last game here on the list it should probably be Destiny 2, just because of the raw number of hours I play Destiny 2 every year. But my last one is SMT5 as well. It's largely because it's one of those things where it's like, when you think about the Final Fantasy games, you're going to get like a really well-playing spectacle. You're going to get this high-budget, it's got incredible graphics, it's got incredible sound, and it's going to be this really great thing. When you think of Dragon Quest, you think of like, it's going to be a really great, very long game that's going to be comfort food the entire time, that you can just pick up and play, and it's not even a thing. And it's going to be great. Like, no shade to either one of those franchises. But man, when Atlas puts out one of their kind of like tentpole releases, like an SMT game, a Persona game, any of these types of games, like, man, it's one of those games where it's just this buffet of incredible, like, $1 million dishes that's just like, yeah, we waited 10 years for another SMT game, but dang, it was really worth it. Like, you just get the cream of the crop here that unfortunately we talked about it in the first segment, and we'll talk about it a little bit again. It's not a game we can recommend to everybody. Persona 5? Everybody should play that. You don't even like RPGs? Check it out. Set that on the easiest difficulty, blow through it. Got a cool story. It does cool things. I haven't tried SMT5's safety is the easiest difficulty. I'm sure there will be a boss where I'm like, I'm going to turn this down to safety. Let's feel this out. I am playing on normal, but like it's definitely one of those games where I want to be challenged. I want to grind. I want to min-max my demons. I want to level up my Nahobino the best I can. You know, like I want to take advantage of all the systems, because when you get into a fight and you can game that, like the press turn system, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
When you can game that, and it's like, all right, I got three turns in a row where 8 people have attacked this entire turn. Like that just feels really great, and it feels like you're getting away with something. And I always feel like SMT games are like winking, and they're like proud of me. They're like, good job. Like the enemies didn't even get a chance to attack. Like you did a good job.
I really hope so. In Nocturne, they did a thing where they had a set of challenges in the, I don't remember, some labyrinth you go to in the Amalia network. But basically, it's like, here's an enemy, beat this in 1.5 turn icons.
Wow.
And they, you know, the point is to hit them with very specific weaknesses or different skills to do this exact thing. You get cool prizes from it. And I doubt they will, but I still kind of hope they have something like that in here, because that was a really fun kind of mental puzzle to unravel.
You know, I actually haven't looked at too much of the DLC for it, but I did see one DLC pack that's like, here are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Don't do this until you're at least level 80. And it's like, okay. So there's some end game stuff you could buy for like $2.99. All right. That's, maybe I'll have to check that out at some point. So I think there is some of that. I'm not sure. I'm trying to stay super spoiler free with this. So I haven't seen, like, is there something like X, Y, and Z at the end of this game? Because I'm sure somebody will be like, I can't believe they did this with the ending. It's like, son of a. But
I'm sure they'll have multiple endings and tons of freaking optional like you already see optional bosses as you go through the game, you know.
Oh yeah, we forgot to talk about that, where the game is just like, look at this giant guy.
Yeah,
definitely do not fight him right now. Look at how tall he is. You can come back and fight him later, but do not do it right now, for real. We talked here before the episode that both of us kind of made a giant list of all the RPGs we played this year. I actually came out with 10 of them that I played this year. Most of them came out this year. And it's been a really, really good year for RPGs. Sort of if you like playing the big budget stuff, or if you like playing kind of the smaller stuff, or the indie stuff, you know, Boyfriend Dungeon is a pretty great RPG too. You know, smushed together with a visual novel and like a dating sim.
Gosh, see, our game club screwed that up for me. I didn't even have that on any list anywhere. Right. That's a great game.
Bravely Default 2 came out this year on Switch and PC. Persona 5 Strikers came out this year. Voice of Cards came out this year. Like, there have been 5 Pixel remasters that came out this year. Maybe 6 by the time this is out. I'm not sure. Like, it's been a really, really, really great year for RPGs. Sort of, you know, when we can talk about Persona 5 Royal and Dungeon Encounters in the same list of, like, our favorite ones of the year, you know, it's been a pretty good year.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's really coming down the pipe for 2022. I feel like most of the stuff that's been announced is coming out February 22nd, 2022, which everything is coming out that week, but I don't know if there's any really big RPGs, but once we get done with top 10 on TVGP, that'll probably be my next thing of like, what's the cool stuff I'm looking forward to in 2022 that most games probably got pushed out of 2021 anyway.
It is funny, like, what the world situation's done, in that, like, I know I'm not as tuned into video game news as I used to be, but like I don't have a bunch of games. Like I think I have one game on pre-order for next February.
I think I do
which is
too.
Horizon.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's the same one I do, where it's like I'm definitely gonna play this on my PS5. Let me just pre-order it.
Yeah, and like, if you went back to me in 2016 or something like that, I probably had 3 or 4 games pre-ordered for the next year. And
if I could pre-order Final Fantasy 16, I probably would. I'll definitely play that when it comes out. No idea when that's coming out, but hopefully this year. Could use another big Final Fantasy game. Yeah. All right. Well, that's our episode for this month, and that's our episode for this year. So we'll definitely see you all next month in January. You can visit us at pickingupthepixels.com. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page. Musim, where can we find you online?
So you can find my Music Hub at jbaudio.net, which I've been experiencing some certificate issues with. So
that old chestnut.
if it doesn't work, then go to musim.bandcamp.com. For all my solo work, go to Axis23. That's AXIS23, the numbers. .bandcamp.com for my industrial band. We just put out an EP, so if you like KMFDM and Ministry, go check us out. And find me on Twitter at John Musim, JOHNMUSIM.
And you can find all my stuff at e1m1.com. I think that's it. So our adventure continues next month. Bye.
Bye.